This is Paul.
And this is Rabbi Doug.
Stay tuned
for Taped with Rabbi Doug next.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're gonna watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom, welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. Glad you could be with us today. My guest today is Sharon Matten. She is of edible experience, and she is a terrific baker, cook, recipe maker, and she is here to help us celebrate Thanksgiving. Now, Thanksgiving is a holiday that in the Jewish community not everybody celebrates. Some do, some don't, but it's a great time, especially for those who have 2 days off, to put together a fantastic meal and great desserts. And what are you going to do for us today and show us?
Well, today we're going to make two recipes. We're going to make a chocolate cranberry torte, which is a great finale.
And that must have chocolate and cranberries in it.
It does. It has dried sweetened cranberries in it, and it's really good. And it's a great finale for your Thanksgiving meal when you bring it out for everybody to go, ooh, you just want that really nice finish. So that's one of the things we're going to make. The other thing we're going to make is for those people who are really tired from making all the Thanksgiving turkey and the stuffing and the dressing and the cranberry sauce, and have purists among them who insist on having that pumpkin pie at their Thanksgiving meal, we're going to make an easy schmeezy pumpkin pie.
All right, well, let's start with this chocolate cranberry tart and tell us about it.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to go through right away and explain to you the ingredients that we need and the tools that we need to make this torte. A torte is just a fancy name for a cake. Additionally, it's important to note that every ingredient that you're going to see here is non-dairy. It's all Parve, which makes it very easy to eat and to have after your meat Thanksgiving meal. Now, we're going to go through very quickly the tools that you need at your disposal when making this cake. They're not specific. I'm going to give you some specifics, but you can choose to use similar things as well to make your life easier. The first thing I recommend is a good spatula. I prefer to use the silicone ones because they're heat resistant. They're generally heat resistant up to 400 degrees, and you can put them in your pots and things when you want to stir them, so it's really nice to use them. Although they're not 100% heat resistant, because if you leave them sitting on the side of your pot, you might end up with a spatula that looks like this. Another thing that I recommend is having a good wire whisk. It allows you to get all the clumps out when mixing in chocolate or other ingredients into your recipe. I recommend an offset spatula or a good knife to be able to smooth out your recipes, and when we're going to do the glaze, this will be a helpful tool to have as well.
The offset one is so you don't get it on your hands while you're doing it?
Well, what it allows you to do is it allows you to have a nice leverage when you're smoothing your stuff out. When you have a rake, it allows you to kind of put your knife into the pan like this without having to
keep your hand apart.
Keep your wrist inside of it. So it's a nifty thing to have. You need a strainer and a measuring cup and a 9-inch spring form pan. You also need a piece of parchment paper. Now this is a parchment circle, which I personally have a 9-inch parchment circle. You can easily make your own parchment circle by taking a piece of parchment paper, which you can purchase at your local grocery store.
And this is a parchment paper especially for cooking, right?
Yes, it's especially for baking, and you can find it next to your zipper bags and your aluminum foil, and it's all in that section. So you just look for parchment paper, and what you do is you tear off a piece, you outline the bottom of your pan upside down, you cut it out, and then you will be able to use it. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the ingredients. I'm a very big proponent of having every ingredient in place before you begin. And I'm going to go through the list of ingredients that I recommend or that you need for this recipe right now. For this recipe, you need 2 sticks of margarine cut into pieces, 3/4 of a cup of dried sweetened cranberries, 1/3 a cup of raspberry liqueur or raspberry wine works fine too, 12 ounces or 1 package of very good quality chocolate chips or chocolate chunks. You don't want the kind that's waxy, you want a very good quality. A good better quality will have a higher cocoa butter content, and it makes it very good that way. You have 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 2/3 a cup of flour, 1½ cups of sugar, and 6 eggs at room temperature.
So it's important to measure all these things out before you start eating.
It's very helpful to do that. You know, people don't always do that. Sometimes what I will do is, if I'm not necessarily going to line everything up like this, I will line up the packages of the ingredients. So as I use them, I put them to the side so I don't forget to use anything. We've all had an oatmeal cookie recipe when we realized we left out the oatmeal and ended up having runny oatmeal cookies on our counter. It's always good to make sure that you have all your ingredients in place. Additionally, I have an extra bowl always on my counter, or I have a garbage can nearby. This is a garbage bowl, and you'll see as we work. So for example, if I have egg shells or something similar that I need to throw away, but I don't feel like running all over my kitchen, I just toss the margarine wrappers or the egg shells into this bowl, and then I dispose of them afterwards. Now, to begin this recipe, we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees, which we've already done. We're going to take our 9-inch springform pan, and we're going to take our non-stick spray with flour, and we're going to spray the pan. You can butter and flour, margarine and flour your pan if you choose to, but I really like the non-stick spray with flour. It makes your job a lot easier. So we're going to spray the pan with the non-stick spray with flour, just a nice light coat, and then we're going to set it to the side because we're done with it.
I am sure that if I was doing any baking, that I would have sprayed that around about
and that would
5 or
have
6
been
times.
fine too. It would have been fine too, and the reason is because it has flour in it, the flour absorbs the grease that's in the pan. So that's why you want it with flour as opposed to regular pan, which is just the grease that makes everything kind of slide. So that's why this is better. Then we're going to take our parchment circle, which we cut, and we're going to gently place it inside the pan. And then what I like to do with this recipe is I like to take a piece of aluminum foil and gently wrap it around the pan. And the reason we do that is because this is kind of a fluid recipe, and we don't want it running all over our oven. So this,
if it bubbles over or something.
it won't bubble over. Not all springform pans are sealed at the bottom, as well as you might like them to. This happens to be a very good quality springform pan, and when I say springform pan, that means the kind that has the lock on the side, which allows you to open the pan when you're done with the cake.
Oh, so you don't have to peel the cake out of it, it actually opens up.
It opens for you, and we'll show you that.
I wouldn't even know those things exist.
So this is called a springform pan, for those of you that don't know. Not everybody does, and that's fine too. So now we have our pan ready, and we're ready to go. Okay? And we're going to set this to the side because we don't need it for a while. Now, you need two pans. One is a small one, a pot, excuse me, and one is kind of a medium one. And you'll see what we're going to do in a minute. The first thing we're going to do to make this recipe is we're going to take our raspberry liqueur, we're going to pour it into this smaller pot, and then we're going to add our sweetened raisins. Okay? And we're going to turn on the heat to medium high, and we're going to take our heat-resistant spatula, and we're just going to kind of mix these together a little bit. Okay? And we're going to let them simmer. And when this comes to a little bit of a boil, we're going to let it cook for 1 minute. So what happens when you do that is it allows...
Meaning boil for 1 minute.
Right. Right. But you're not letting it rapidly boil. Simmer means that it's happy. It's bubbling very lightly, as opposed to bubbling a lot, which some people would call like an angry bubble. Or maybe that's just what my mom says, I don't know. So anyway, we're going to let this come to a boil, and then in the meantime, we're going to continue on with the rest of our recipe. We're going to take our medium pot, and we're going to take the 2 sticks of margarine, and we're going to use our funky spatula, and we'll have to get another one of those, and we're going to pour this in, we're going to scoop it into the pot. Okay, make sure you get all of it out. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put this on the burner. Would it be helpful if I'll put it over here so you can see it a little better. Okay. And we're going to let that melt. Okay. And when this is completely melted, we're going to do some other things to it. Now this is simmering. We're going to stir it. And we have a timer, which I'm going to pull over here. And we're going to set it for 1 minute. You can watch the time. And we're going to gently stir our margarine as it's melting. And we'll let this melt very, very nicely. This is still going and it's simmering. We'll lower our heat a little bit so that it's not boiling too much. Okay. And it's a good thing we have lots of spatulas. So we have to pull another one out of the drawer. So we pick it up later. Okay, now this is almost done. And what's happening is that there's two things that are happening with these dried cranberries. Number one is they're absorbing some of the liqueur, but not only that, the liqueur is absorbing some of the flavor of the cranberries.
Dried cranberries are often like raisins. They're kind of dry. Does this make them moister?
Yes, it kind of, well,
Is that a word, moister? More moist?
it expands them. You know, instead of being dehydrated, it rehydrates them, I guess is the word we're looking for. All right, so these guys are done. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our strainer that we set aside before, and we're going to pour this mixture into this strainer. Okay, nothing complicated yet. In the meantime, our margarine is melting very nicely over here. I'm going to give this another minute. And we're going to take our spatula, and we're going to kind of press out the liquid from the dried cranberries, which now are a little plumper than they were before. Okay. Okay. And we're going to set this aside.
This is very methodic. I mean, you really doing these things in order does make a difference.
It absolutely makes a difference. Because what happens, this will cool now, and when we're ready to add it to the recipe, it'll be ready. Now we're going to turn off the fire over here. We've got both burners off. And now the margarine is completely melted, which is what you want. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add this chocolate to, we're going to move it from the heat. And because this is granite, you can actually stick it right on the counter, but I wouldn't recommend doing this with a laminate countertop. We're going to dump our chocolate chips, which we prepared, into this pot. And we're going to let it sit for about a minute. And the reason we do that is that the heat will penetrate the chocolate chips and allow them to melt and to be stirred more easily. Okay, so we're going to give that a short amount of time to just kind of absorb the heat of it.
So, and they're melting as it
They're
does
melting
it.
as they're sitting in the chocolate.
Now, when you're melting this chocolate, are you then going to mix them together
Right,
so it becomes one?
this is when we become familiar with the wire whisk. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the wire whisk in another couple minutes, and we're just going to stir this until it's smooth.
When the butter melts, is it the margarine, when it melts, is it the same temperature per se as melting the chocolate itself if you had put that in the pan?
You have to be careful when you're melting chocolate. Chocolate is very temperamental. If you make it too hot, it will burn easily. If you add a little bit of water to chocolate, good pure chocolate will seize, it'll constrict, and it won't be happy. You have to be careful when you're doing things with chocolate and make sure that you're doing them in the right order. Okay, so that's good enough. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our wire whisk, and we're just going to gently stir this and so that there are no lumps. Quickly.
It's probably really yummy just by itself.
This is what people sometimes will use to coat strawberries or to make a glaze for like a cake or something like that, just like this. It makes it shiny. Yeah, it makes it shiny. It makes it a little bit more fluid. Okay, so now we almost got all the lumps out. See how easily that mixed? It's nice and smooth. Okay. So when you're done with that, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your sugar and you're just going to pour it in. We have all the ingredients. Now we're going to set the bowl aside as we finish. We're going to whisk that in. Now this is going to end up being a little grainy looking just because you have the sugar in it, so don't be alarmed by that.
This is kind of at the point right now, I would guess, and I'm just guessing, that you sometimes can't tell if something is milk chocolate or dairy-free and Parve. When you have the sugar and the margarine and the chocolate all together, the chocolates almost taste the same at that point.
They do, and I find that if you have a good quality chocolate chip, you can tell when something's dairy. There is a point to where you can tell if something's dairy. It has a certain richness to it. A good quality chocolate chip, though, is pretty close. It's not exactly, you know, there are people who will swear by butter, and you know, it has its own distinctive taste, but then not everybody likes that taste either. So this is good for people also who are lactose intolerant. You know, if you're ever trying to make a dessert for somebody who can't have dairy products, this works as well for that.
Well, we know that a lot of people in the non-Jewish community who have family members who are lactose intolerant come to the kosher bakeries to buy bakery goods because their children or their family members are able to eat it.
Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the room temperature eggs. Now, one of the things that we do in a traditional kitchen is we check the eggs as we put them in. Now, the reason why I do not come with these eggs prepared and already cracked is because I want to show you how we go about doing that. Now, you can use a glass or Pyrex measuring cup, and you can use a small bowl. So in this case, we're just going to use the small bowl that we use for something else. It's right here, and it's already available. And this is when we take our trash bowl, and we're bring it over here. Now I'm going to crack the egg, and I'm sort of going to check it as I put it in. I'm going to toss the shell in the bowl, and I'm going to kind of look at the egg and say, hey, there are no spots in it. Now, we don't use eggs with spots because those are fertilized eggs. So we don't use those when we're making a kosher cake.
So show me the right way to crack an egg, because I've always had this problem. The two things I have problems with are, and maybe you could teach us that sometime, how to peel a hard-boiled egg without the whole thing coming apart, and how to crack an egg with it.
All right, so you're going to just take a nice knack on the bowl, and instead of trying to open it somewhere else, you're going to take your fingers and kind of push it into that little hole you made, and then gently peel it apart.
So opening it on the top.
Where that
Crack,
is,
moving the crack to the top and
Yes.
using your thumbs.
Yes, to gently.
Okay, I'm going to try that on the next one.
All right, you got one left. This is it. This is your chance to shine. Okay, there's your crack. And gently pull it apart.
Oh my goodness, I did it.
All right, good job.
Look at that. See, I never was taught that before. I always did it from underneath. And we have, how many eggs do we use?
6.
We have 6 good eggs here. There they are.
That's a good sign. All right, so we're almost done with this. It's almost, ooh, that's so smooth and gooey. All right, so now we've got the eggs totally mixed in. And now, the next thing we're going to add, we're going to move these cranberries over here, and we're going to whisk in the liqueur that we reserved that was mixed with the cranberries.
That was the raspberry liqueur.
Yes, that was mixed with the
Cranberries.
cranberries. And now we're going to gently whisk this in. See, everything, what's cool about this recipe is everything is in one pot. You don't have 600 pots that you're trying to make the recipe from. One pot, you know, minimal amount of mess. Okay, so we've added that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the flour. Whisk that in. Now, it's getting a little thick, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use a spatula just to stir it in to start. That's fine. All right, now we're going to add the salt, a little bit of salt. Okay, I'm going to stir that in. A recipe that you make the first time always takes longer, so don't be discouraged if this recipe seems to take a little longer than it's taking me here. I know the first time I always make a recipe, I have to think about everything that's going into it. So this is going a little quicker because I've done this recipe, you know, multiple times. Now these are the cranberries that we had, and we're just going to tap these in, and we're going to stir them into the recipe. Okay, so that it's, now they're little clumps, so we're going to separate them out. And we're just going to stir them into this pot. And you know what? The batter's done. Now we're going to take our springform pan, and we're going to just pour this right into this bowl. Right here, like this. And we don't even need the offset spatula over here because, like I said, it's very fluid. As you can see, it's batter. It's not a thick, thick batter. So we're going to, and that's it.
Wow.
And now we're going to put this into the oven to bake for 1 hour.
Oh boy. Well, we're here with Sharon Matten of Edible Experience, and she is making this chocolate cranberry torte, and we're going to see this come out of the oven when we come back right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug, so stay with us.
Hi, I'm Governor Rod Blagojevich, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug, a mensch.
Welcome back. I'm here with Sharon Matten, and she is now going to do some topping and covering of this torte that she made. And this torte now was in the oven for
1 hour.
1 hour, and it took a long time to cool. I've been
Yes.
here all night, and we're going to defrost it, huh?
Right, we are. And
Tell
what
us
we're
what
going
we're
to do
gonna
is
do.
we're going to make a glaze. Now, the way to make the glaze is you need to start making this glaze right when you put this cake in the oven, because it has to sit for almost 2 hours in order to maintain the right consistency when you want to glaze the cake. We're going to take 1 cup of whipped topping, Parve whipped topping. We're going to pour it into this bowl.
So that's what you would make Parve whipping cream with.
Exactly, exactly. We're going to put it in the bowl, in the pot, and we're going to warm it over a medium temperature, just like that, until it's slightly warm.
What does warming a whipping cream do? Normally you think of using it cold.
Well, what it allows you to do is you're going to make, the topping for this cake is what's called a ganache. And a ganache is really just chocolate and whipped cream. That's all it is. And depending on the quantities of whipped cream or chocolate you use and how much you let it cool, will depend upon the consistency of the ganache. People often use a ganache for truffles or glazes for cakes. So you can see, just based upon the consistency, will depend upon what you would use it for. Now we're going to take 10 ounces, this is not a whole bag of chocolate chips. Again, you're going to use the good quality chocolate chips. And we're going to just gently, gently mix them into this warm whipped cream. And we're just going to mix this until it's smooth. And then we're going to add this raspberry liqueur. We'll give this 1 more minute. And when we come back, we'll show you what it looks like, nice and smooth and cool.
And we'll be right back.
Hey, dum diddly dum. Oh, hi. You're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
Now we're going to do the fun part, which is we're going to unhinge the cake. Now it's helpful to have a cardboard cake circle or a cake plate handy to put your cake on when you're done.
And those are also purchasable?
You can purchase these at any
Grocery
cookie
store?
I don't know about a grocery store, but they're where you can find baking supplies.
And when you go to a bakery and buy cake, this is the kind of thing that's underneath it?
Yeah. Or they sometimes have fancier ones. This is nice because it's going to actually be kind of the size of the cake, which is 9 inches. Now additionally, when we're going to glaze the cake, the following is what you would need. You would need 1 cookie sheet covered either with aluminum foil or parchment paper, or this is actually a silicone baking mat. And I like to use them because they're reusable and everything comes off of them and they're easily washed. Additionally, you want to have some kind of a wrap to put on top of it so that when you're glazing your cake, the drips can fall onto here, and if necessary, you can scoop them back up. Now we're going to take our cake, we're going to remove the aluminum foil, and we did have a little bit of drips on it, so it was good when we had it. And we're going to take a sharp knife, and we're just going to gently run it around the edge of the cake, very close to the side of the pan. Okay? Now the magic, we take the block and we open it up, and if it sticks a little bit, we take the knife and we just unstick it a little bit. We pull it apart, and then we open this up, and ta-da! Now we're going to take this is our cake circle, we're going to stick it on top, and we're going to flip it. You can see it did run a little bit. Now we're going to take our knife, and we're going to lift this up very carefully.
Beautiful.
Stick it in there, and don't forget to remove your parchment that you had on your cake, because if you don't, everybody's going to be eating paper, and that's not yummy or impressive. So we're going to stick this over here, get rid of our little garbage bin, which we should have had anyway. And we're going to stick it on our rack. I'm going to grab a towel to dry my hands. And now what you're going to do is you're going to take about 1.5 cups of your glaze, which you've been stirring. Put this over here for now. And you're going to carefully pour it over your torte. This is the torte. I'm going to actually shift it over slightly so that it's a bit more evenly on there. And you're going to carefully just pour it over your cake just like this. Okay? And you're going to gently, gently, very slowly.
Tell me what that thing in your hand is called again?
This is called an offset spatula.
Offset
you see
spatula.
how easy it makes the spreading on the cake. There we go. We've actually glazed the whole cake, and we're just going to smooth out the top. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this cake and we're going to put it in the freezer for 10 minutes. And by doing that, we're going to set the top of the glaze. Come back.
Here we go, and we'll be back.
Hi, I'm Jay Levine. You're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
This is unbelievable. You've refrosted it after being in for 10 minutes of torte. You did the glaze the second time. It's in there now for about 15 minutes.
Right.
We're going to have that. In the meantime, you're going to put this pumpkin pie together so quickly. What do we have?
Right. This is called the Easy Schmeezy Pumpkin Pie because you have no more time and you've had enough to do. And we're going to cheat a little bit. And if you're a purist, then you're welcome to make your own pie crust. I like a nice, good frozen pie crust. When you're out of time, it works just as well as anything else. Now, normally people use sweetened condensed milk for their pie recipe, but of course we're doing this Parve, so we're going to use 1 cup of whipping cream, which gives you the same sweetness, but we're going to use a little bit less than we normally would use of sweetened condensed milk. We're going to use 3/4 cup of sugar. We're going to use 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. We're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 can of your favorite pure pumpkin. Not pumpkin pie filling, but pure packed pumpkin. And the way we're going to do this, you're going to see how fast it is. You're going to be amazed. You're going to take the pumpkin, and you're going to scoop it into your large bowl. And again, as always, you're preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm just going to scoop it all out, nice and simple, into the bowl. We're going to add our whipping cream. And I love these things because they get all the whipped cream out for you and it doesn't stick to the side. And we're just going to gently mix this together until it's very smooth. And then we get ourselves dirty. That's why you should always wear an apron. Okay. And this is smooth enough that we can add our sugar. We're going to add our cloves. And again, we've set all our ingredients in advance so we don't forget anything.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon and the salt. We're just going to mix this together. And don't forget your 2 eggs. Checking it. Now we're going to mix that in. So it's very smooth. And
Put it in the pie crust, huh?
And we're going to put it in the pie crust and we're going to bake it at 350 degrees for about 1 hour until it's completely set and ready to go.
All right. Check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com, to find out about Edible Experience and Sharon Matten. And drop me an email if you wish, info@tvrabbi.com.
Okay.
Her link will be there too, and I'll be happy to forward any emails to her. You can check out our recipes there too. We're going to show them at the end of the show. And when we come back, we're going to have some pumpkin pie and some chocolate cranberry torte.
I'm Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
Do I get to taste them?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Dark chocolate first. Oh my God. It's so rich, it's so good. Simple's always my favorite. Hey, we'll see you next time here on Tape with Rabbi Doug. Thanks a lot to Sharon Matten, and we're going to have her back again, so we'll see you soon.
To find out more about Taped with Rabbi Doug, go to www.tvrabbi.com. This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.